Political analyst Javed Rana joins us from Islamabad, Pakistan. Javed, thank you so much for sparing your time and joining us here on A News. Do you think that Israeli community, the Zionist community actually, not the Israelis, has so much leverage on the Westerners that they cannot react to it? Their hands are tied?
Certainly. I think this is a foregone conclusion. Not even there is no mainstream debate on the social media in the USA. What is it that the U.S. leadership is so much compromised? What is it that the U.S. leadership has been putting up with the genocidal regime? What is it that the U.S. government has not been able to do anything, despite the fact that this genocide is continuing for last 2 years, and everybody is now questioning that, despite the fact that there is an ICJ and ICC interim orders, which literally means that Netanyahu must be arrested, and which also calls for that this is a genocide which must be stopped. Despite the fact, USA, instead of doing something, USA instead has banned the judges of the international courts, and U.S. even the Microsoft has basically disabled their email service. Again, this is just a tip of the iceberg of the scale of the penetration of the Zionist network in the West. We have seen Germany more particularly. They've been supporting this genocide, despite the fact that they know that what is happening now in Gaza is not very different to what the Nazis and the Hitler had done with the Jews in the Second World War. So I think, again, in similar fashion, we have seen in the UK. Yes, they have recognized the Palestinian state, but that is the theory. We know that on the ground, Israel is holding, it has been occupied territory. But look at their policies. They've been sharing all kind of intelligence. They've been providing all kind of weaponry support, and their fighter jets are there in the Cyprus, and from there they are operating. Again, this is some kind of very institutionalized hypocrisy with which West has been operating. In a broader context, I think now the fact that apartheid Israel has not been able to basically eliminate Hamas, despite the fact that there was so much Western support with weapons, with intelligence, and Israel, despite the fact Israel conducted the genocide, despite the fact that Israel resorted to the carpet bombing, Hamas is there. Hamas is still retaliating. Now there is an element of frustration in Tel Aviv. There is an element of frustration among Zionist network back in the USA. That is why, as a face saving, they have come out with a so-called peace plan, which basically the very bottom of line of that 21 points peace plan is that Hamas must be demilitarized. Hamas must be disarmed. Why? What is it that they have to be disarmed by the Muslim armies? Why Israeli military has not been able to do it for the last 2 years? Why Muslim armies now would fight with their brother Muslims in the occupied territory to follow the agenda of the West? Why would Muslim armies would pursue the orders of the Tony Blair, the former prime minister, who is going to head this so-called interim administration? This board of peace, this is a complete geostrategic nonsense. I think there is a report by the Financial Times, and that is very much revealing. It says that this plan has been there for last 6 years, and Tony Blair, his think tank, which is a very big think tank, it has its tentacle all over the world, probably in 45 countries. It has been discussing this plan with the Donald Trump and all the real estate tycoons on how to build up settlements in Gaza. So that long plan is going to be there. The funding is going to come from the Arab countries. The destruction has been undertaken by Israel. They have destroyed the civil infrastructure and the military infrastructure in Gaza. Why would Arabs financially support the destruction of Gaza? This, it is the entirely responsibility of the West. These were the Western weapons which were used. This is the Israel which has been destroying the entire infrastructure. But look at how helpless these Muslim leaders and Arab leaders are, that they are going to finance it. Their army is going to disarm Hamas. Their army is going to demilitarize entire Gaza, something Israel has not been able to do it. Does it make sense? It is now going to be the responsibility of the Muslim armies to basically destroy the tunnels, underground tunnels. And according to Mossad, those zigzag tunnels under the surface is nearly 500 kilometers long. Now, why would Muslim armies end up fighting with Hamas? This is a complete nonsensical plan which is going to be executed. The bigger troubles are the Muslim leaders who are so jubilant. The bigger trouble is with these Arab leaders who are so jubilant and excited, and they are supporting this plan. I don't know what makes them to consider this plan to be accepted. And there is no two-state solution. There is simply talk about this self-determination, and there will be pathway for this self-determination. What does it mean? Netanyahu, after this so-called peace plan, has made it public, and along with all these top Israeli officials, what they are saying, there would be no two-state solution. It means there is also no one-state solution, because under one state, Palestinians will have their vote. They will have their voting rights, and the fear is the Palestinian population will grow up and they will be governing Israel. So they are not willing to give them voting right, even if there is one state. So what is the policy? Policy is to expel them. Even this so-called peace plan talks about, it says that Palestinians would not be forced to leave Gaza. This is a very ambiguous language. Very ambiguous language, which means that the conditions would be there where they would feel to leave Gaza, but they would not be forced, which means there would not be bombing, which means that there would be other means to force them to leave Gaza. This is the real plan. They want to have a settlement there. This is a real estate business. Its head is a Donald Trump, along with Netanyahu, along with the Jared Kushner, the son-in-law of the U.S. president. So this is a recipe for disaster for the Palestinians. What more troubles they need? They've been facing one after the other. Why would a Muslim leaders give their shoulder to this dirty plan? This is ununderstandable.
Well, when we consider all of these, you have been saying that this is indeed something that is planned. This is indeed something that has been a plan in the motion to just take over Gaza for at least a couple of years, even if not decades or more. So let's talk about what is going on in the field right now. As Israel, it advances its Operation Gideon's Chariots to second, seizing over half of the Gaza city, about displacing 800,000 Palestinians by the October 7th, 2025 deadline. How has U.S. coordination enabled this ethnic cleansing, and why must the U.S. withdraw all support to prevent Palestinian uprooting?
I think it's not just the weaponry support that the U.S. has been providing to the apartheid state. You may recall there was a Gaza Foundation. What Gaza Foundation was all about? These were the American contractors who were there, who were part and parcel of the killing machinery. The hundreds of more, I think nearly 2,000 people were killed who were seeking aid from this Gaza Foundation. U.S. was there. Its contractors were there. And this so-called Gaza Foundation, which is, many call it as a Holocaust Foundation, it was there to kill Palestinians and not to provide them food. That is just one part of the U.S. role, and it was under the guise of this providing aid. And then we know we have already discussed the weaponry support, but I think the diplomatic support has been very lethal. The U.S. power to veto all resolutions calling for the ceasefire in Gaza have been vetoed by the U.S. I think that has turned out to be bigger disaster. I think the bigger problem is now the world knows, particularly I think the people in the United States of America, they know it now that their government is hand in glove with this genocide, and that is why now there is a more debate, public debate, raising question about 9/11. The actors congressmen who were involved in the 9/11 Commission reports, they are pointing out, and they are quoting FBI's report saying that, as a matter of fact, FBI report says that some of the Jewish members, they knew in advance that there's going to be 9/11. This is FBI report. And that is why they had positioned themselves. They filmed how the Twin Towers were falling down. And then again, Netanyahu is on the record to have said that the 9/11 is something which has helped Israel to accomplish its so-called geostrategic objectives, because now the US would be more focused killing Muslims. So again, in that context, there is no more and more debates. There are secrets which are not being leaked. How there was a hush up, and the real faces of 9/11 have been concealed, and now they are being exposed, and the fingers are being pointed at Mossad. And Mossad and CIA, that how 9/11 attackers were facilitators, how they were given visas, how they were provided intelligence to conduct this 9/11, and then how Afghanistan was destroyed, and then how Iraq was destroyed. And in a similar fashion, now people are asking in the USA what this AIPAC is all about, why AIPAC has so much influence in the USA, why AIPAC is not a registered body in the USA, which must be a registered body if it has to be lobby for Israel. That is not there. So more and more questions are being raised. That means that in the United States of America, a country where there is already a more racial division, which there could be a civil war in years to come if the situation persists as we see on the ground, then there is a possibility of more and more violent attack against the Jewish community, against the AIPAC infrastructure, because now people are far more aware what has been done today with the flotilla. I think this is being registered in the West. People are understanding what is going on, that a genocide is being supported by their governments. So I think these governments would not be there in future. In the long run, mark my word, apartheid Israel would lose this war. Hamas would survive as a military force. Hamas is an ideology. Israel cannot destroy an ideology. They would not have a shortfall of the manpower. The survivor of this genocide will be the military force of Palestinian state, and they will take revenge of what has been done with their families. Not one generation, not two generations, 3 generations of the people. Not in one case, not in 2 cases, in numerous cases, in dozens of cases. 3 generations of families have been destroyed, have been eliminated by the apartheid Israel.
Well, Javed, thank you so much. Thank you so much for answering my questions. Thank you so much for joining us here on A News.
The growing tide of anti-Israel sentiments. What you see behind me is just tip of the iceberg of what is happening in the country. More than half of $52 billion black CIA budget is spent on espionage network in Pakistan. How would you handle it?
The US has looked upon Pakistan as an ally at one point and then as an enemy at the same time.
That is going to be the first legal reason on the basis of which he is going to be instantly ousted by the Supreme Court of Pakistan.
Joining us live, Javed Rana, who's an expert on politics and geostrategic issues.
In the world politics, which is not being driven by any moral principle, it is being driven by the hard geostrategic realities. In a broader picture, more countries would aspire to have nuclear weapons.